Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage on a pleasant mid 30 degree sunny Saturday afternoon. I'm just about to head back in the house, probably make something to eat. And yesterday was Groundhog Day, a significant day in my life for a few reasons, but one of them I will always remember, and the subject of today's video is Groundhog Day 2012. In the thumbnail picture, you can see my orange, I called it a 1988 Camaro HiRock. Quick backstory, I wanted a 6-second SFI certified chassis, and I really didn't care about what body. And I searched for a few years when I had what I thought was enough money to buy one. And I found a few. I mean, when I say I didn't care about the body, I found like a Toyota Solara, Bob Glidden style Ford Fairmont, which I still think are cool, and the Camaro in the picture with the giant picnic table wing. It wasn't orange at the time, it was white. It said Castrol GTX on it, and it was out of Rhode Island, not that far from me. After I bought that car, I was able to trace the history. While I was rebuilding it, it took me just a year. I had no other projects going on. I really wanted to go racing again. You know, in my life, I've gathered everything to go racing, sold everything. I bought my house, and then I'd saved up enough money after I built the garage. I wanted to go racing again before I was too old. So, with that in mind, I bought and rebuilt the car in 1 year. I'd already had a motor built for it, and that kind of plays into the story too, because I built that motor for another Nova, one of the 5 or 6 I've had, and the only time I've ever driven a Nova. Well, I've never driven one I owned. I did drive my copper-colored Nova, my 71, last summer, that my buddy Charlie now has. It's the only one of my Nova projects I've ever driven. They all had different stories as to why, but that's just the way it is. So, I bought the Camaro, rebuilt it. My wife and I went racing. For building it and racing it, that's about 4 years worth. And during that time, the year before we decided to sell it, or I decided to sell it, my wife wanted to keep racing. It was fun. We'd go down on a Friday night with a motorhome, stay all weekend. By the time you make friends and stuff down at the track, she was really having a good time. And me, I was ready to do something else. So only because the car itself, it was dated for sure, but it was safe-ish. And it was at the point where all my SFI tags were about to expire again. So there's an investment. I had just run my personal best of a 7.50000 to infinity at 179,999. It wouldn't quite go 180. When NHRA sanctioning took over at New England Dragway, my local track, and it was supposed to be easy. You send them $20, my current 6-second ET license, a copy of it. And I was supposed to get a like license. They gave me a 750 and up license. Told me when I went 749 to give them a call. I wouldn't say that's the final straw, but it was one of the contributing factors that I was working on it by myself all the time. My brother would help every now and then, and it was just the point. The motor was tired. It was everything needed to be fixed, and the worst thing I did, I ran the IHRA national event, the last one they had at New England Dragway, my first national event. I get down to 3 cars in Top Sportsman and earned a little money, and I'm doing it with a clutch pedal and a 5-speed Lenco, racing all the automatics, thinking once you get a little taste of winning, now you want to be like everybody else. So I took the Lenco out and put a Power Glide in it. And long story, but I made 7 more runs with the car when I broke the flex plate, and decided to pot it out and sell it. Again, I got to go around the barn a few times to get you up to speed, but I sold the engine and the transmission separate, and now I had stripped the car out pretty well and just selling the roller. I had it on racingjunk.com over the winter of 2011-2012. It wasn't listed very long, actually, probably listed 2 or 3 weeks, and I was willing to sell it or trade it. I wanted just a street vehicle. I was building the Model A, still am, but I wanted something that we could just go cruising in, something a little low-key for a while. You never can quit drag racing completely, you just go through cycles, and this was the end of that cycle. So I struck a deal with a man who claimed to be a collector, a Nova expert down in North Carolina. And all the pitches that he sent, I'm pretty good, I thought, with the pitches are better now than they were then, but I was, pretty picky, as you well know. And I went over every picture he sent me with a fine-tooth comb. It had a North Carolina title. I don't need a title in the state of Maine, but sometimes it's handy to have if you go to resell it. It was a 69 Nova, black, just a mild 350. It only had a Saginaw 4-speed, but it came with a allegedly rebuilt Muncie and a shifter, and only a 10-bolt. Again, the drivetrain would have been fine, but I just wanted a nice body. That's all I've ever wanted, was a Nova with a decent body. Hard to find. So we struck a deal, and he wouldn't personally be bringing the car. He has a buddy with a Dodge Dually and an enclosed trailer, and he was going to come up here from the south in February and do the swap. And we both, through the dealings, agreed that we were each going to pay him one direction. I had to pay him $1,200 to get here, and the other guy was supposed to pay him $1,200 to get home. So it turned out he was coming on Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2012. I took the day off. It started out as a nice sunny day, but there was forecasts for precipitation, and up here in Maine that means ice or snow. I had cleaned all the way to the woods. I'm pointing, you can't see it, but he could come down with his truck and trailer, point it toward the woods. We could slide the Nova out. I had the race car all ready to go in the trailer. Right here, we could push it in, tie it down, he'd be gone. Because he wanted to turn and burn, as they say. So he got lost a few times on the way here. It's now well after dark, a pitch black night. And it's drizzling rain. I spent the whole day after I got the yard cleared out. I went and got sand at the local sand pile, because, if you live in a place where it's slippery, they provide some sand. You just got to truck it back and forth. So I had sanded the area where he was going to have to pull in and back out. It's relatively flat, but slightly downhill. So, long story short, once again, he gets here. Super nice guy. Instantly when I met the guy, he's just one of them guys you knew he was just a cool dude. And he was hungry, a little bit lost. He called a few times, had to talk him in. I live in middle of nowhere, dead end off a dead end, so I understand how somebody could get led astray. Again, GPS coordinates are better now probably too. So we dropped the tailgate down. I actually unhooked the back of the Nova. I'm looking at it. I don't have a flashlight, but everything is painted black. It looks fantastic. We roll it into the garage. We concentrate on getting, because he wants to get out of here. And he had no part in what, this is about to turn bad, so he had no part in that, I swear. In my gut feeling, I know he did not have anything to do with it. So we load up my race car. Again, no money exchanged. I get the Nova and a Muncie 4-speed. He gets my rolling chassis, just the chassis and the body. Still pretty significant investment for a street Nova. Nowadays, they go for what I probably paid for this, but I just wanted a really nice body out of the south from a collector. Come on, this looks like a home run, right? My wife, the guys keep saying he's hungry, and what I find also interesting about the story, my wife had cooked a turkey, among other things, and made the guy a giant turkey sandwich and all kinds of extra stuff to take with him, gave him some drinks, and he was, I'm surprised he didn't try to kiss her. He was happy, because he was really hungry. And off he went with my race car. My wife and I are excited. We drive the Nova in. It runs and drives, drive it in, put it up in the lift, get a flashlight, get looking at it, and I'm quiet. And when I get quiet, you better look out, because I'm in deep thought or mad. In this case, I'm in deep thought, frustration turn into anger because this car is junk. Everything is fudge. They filled stuff in with, you name it, tape and body sealer, and the car needs a complete restoration. Everything. I mean, the dash is rusted out of it. When you look at it, you had hard to find. I had to go underneath to see it, what they had done. I'm mad because I called the guy and he doesn't answer. The guy, not the guy with the Dodge Dually and the trailer, although I do have his phone number, and he's the next call. I called and left a message with the man I made the deal with. Not happy. And I'm thinking I'm lost because my car's gone. So, just for kicks, I called the guy with the Dodge Dually. And one, he said, boy, I'm glad you called. I'm lost. I'm going right by your road again. I don't know how to get out of town. I explained the situation to him. And he says, whoa, I don't want to get involved in a bad deal. I'm going to come back and park till we get this straightened out. Now, he could have just kept going. You know, if he was in on it, he could have, but he didn't. Super nice guy. He sits here. Finally, the guy calls back, and he's, you know, you can hear in his voice, he can tell I'm upset. You know, I'm 1,200 miles away, but it didn't go well. I tried to be diplomatic, but I was really mad. I don't get mad very often. When I think about it right now, I still get mad. Because I'm a straight dealer. If I tell you I'm going to sell you this and it's silver when you get it. It's not fake, it's real. This was not. So I roll my race car back out of it. Now, by now, everything's ice. And the guy in the Dodge, we had trouble getting him out. I forgot that part of the story. He's stuck over here. I had to pull him out with my tractor to get him pointed out of here. I had to hook onto the trailer, pull him back, and he barely made it up the hill. He has summer tires on it, and it's turned into ice. So now he's parked up in the road. So we roll my race car out in the street, no lights or anything, of course. At least it's orange. And I drive the Nova back in, we tie it down, I give him the 4-speed back, and he leaves. And I thank him at least 50 times. And the reason why he probably came back, he said, well, because he's a decent guy, but he was really impressed how nice my wife was to him. Which, if you knew my wife, that's pretty good. So, long story short, once again, I got my car back. I put it back on Racing Junk, and I sold it 2 weeks later to a man in Cape Cod, who's now a friend of mine. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He put a giant motor in it, and it sits in his garage. It still has my name on the door, my last dial-in written on the window in shoe polish, and there it sits. So I don't know what will become of it. I don't want it back. I don't want to drive it. He offered to let me drive it, the guy that bought it in Cape Cod. Again, it's got a 700-something inch motor, and it's going to be faster than when I had it. I only had a 572. And I watched them put it together. They put the motor, they work on it outside. They put the motor in, it was like a skid steer. That car was hard to put a motor in. Somehow they just hooked it all up. Must be really, really good at what they do down there in Cape Cod. So. But every now and then, most Groundhog Days go by, I don't think of it. But last night, my wife saw a picture I was looking at of the race car parked in the upper garage. She said, when was the race car? Oh, she says, because that night up in the road, all we could do is coast it into the upper garage because everything was ice. So she pushed me down the hill, trying not to fall down, dragging behind, hanging out of the parachute while I coasted it into the garage. And, whew, close call. But man, when it was gone and I'm looking at that Nova underneath thinking, I just got, well, you know. Anyway, that's my story. Can't believe I just did that without stopping, so probably this won't work, but let's try it. Nope. So hey, good to talk with you, and I'll catch you today or so.